3-6 and losing 5 out of the last 6 doesn't sound good, but the Bears are literally right there, and they would have been winning 4 of those 5 games. Call us crazy. We're here to share why we think the Chicago Bears can still make the playoffs. Yes, the Packers stink. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, joined alongside my good friend and co-host, Tony Sapita. You heard it. Yes, we still think the Bears can make the playoffs. Yes, there's a lot of things that have to happen. Yes, we are freaking crazy saying a 3-6 team is going to make the playoffs, but anything is possible, and this team in its own way is hot right now. Tony, any comments before we start kicking things off?
I actually may not be as maybe optimistic as you about the Bears making the playoffs, but it's crazy. There's a chance. There is absolutely a chance it breaks the right way for the Bears. It's going to take some luck. It's going to take some help, but there's a chance.
There's also still 4 NFC North games left, and those are anyone's games. 4 wins. That puts the Bears at 7-10, and I think the Bears can steal a couple more here. So let's start off with the offense. Bears 3-6 record, let's kick off about this 4 out of last 5. So the Bears' recent losing streak. Bears are 3-6 right now. That doesn't speak to what this team can do, though. Bears have lost 5 of the last 6. They started the season 2-1. The score difference at the end of 4 of the last 6 losses. Are you ready, Tony? Week 4 against the New York Giants, they lost by 8 points. Score was 20-12 Giants. Lost that bad bet because Treston Ebner couldn't get 1 more yard. Week 5 against the Minnesota Vikings, lost by 7 points, 29-22, when the Bears had an awesome comeback. Week 6 against the Washington Commanders, they lost by 5 points, 12-7. There should have been a touchdown. That one tight end route was absolutely horrendous by Ryan Griffin. Week 9 against the Miami Dolphins this past week, Bears lost by 3 points, 35-2. Missed pass interference call on Chase Claypool could have changed the game. You win half those 4 losses. The Bears sit at 5-4, and they're right in the hunt. Tony, I mean, they're right there. Justin Fields even said himself, he's tired of people saying that. I'm tired of people saying we're right there, because the Bears literally are right there at the end of every game. Yes, it makes it more fun to watch games, but at the same time, it's so deflating because you're right there.
I'm looking at the standings right now. I haven't really looked at the NFC playoff standings that much until I guess really right now. So it's very top heavy. Obviously, the Eagles are undefeated, and then you got your division winners, and the Giants are the 6th seed at 6-2. 7th seed is the 4-4 49ers. The Bears are 3-6. I know obviously there's like bye week stuff, so it's like 1.5 games back, whatever it may be, but that is absolutely attainable. You can make up a game and a half throughout the rest of the year.
Because the Niners could have 1 more loss, and we beat the Niners, so we would have the tiebreaker over them.
Yeah, we get a great point, and we still get a bye week. Who knows who's going to lose that week? We at least we get rid of the half game eventually, but we have a late bye, maybe make a final push. But overall, my overall statement on these 4 losses is it's kind of best case scenario right now with Fields. He's doing enough just to win, I guess is the best way to put it, even though they're not. And the defense is the one screwing it up. So the pick gets better. Fields looks incredible. Kind of a win-win.
I get it. Like, I know a lot of people are like, we need a wide receiver. That was before Chase Claypool, and we still don't know what Chase Claypool is exactly going to do, but Justin Fields is the guy. He is him. He's the guy. I don't care what anyone says anymore. He's the guy. And
quick correction on what I think I said 4-game losing streak. I don't know why I said that. Just those 4 losses you mentioned. I just know someone point that out. Yeah, didn't mean a losing streak. I apologize.
No, so I mean the pick does get better with Justin Fields. Totally understand that. Our pick, though, if the Bears do win, our 2nd round pick becomes better for us that we traded it to the Pittsburgh Steelers because of the fact that means that Chase Claypool is obviously doing something right to help us win ball games. So the Giants and Commanders game, going back, the Giants and Commanders game should have been wins. Like I think everyone can kind of agree to that. The Minnesota game, the Bears it was just too little, too late.
Smith-Marset. Cut him too late.
Too late. Yes, absolutely. Cut him way too late. Should have never been in that game. Also, Velus Jones Jr. with the Giants, who was a healthy scratch against the Dolphins. We didn't even hit on that, but he's definitely – Eberflus even said he's got to earn playing time. Anyway, the Giants game should have been a win. You take away that fumble by Bellis Jones Jr. I think the Bears should have won that game. No doubt about it. The Commanders game, horrible officiating, but just absolute moon boots. Ryan Griffin not being able to catch a ball, and Darnell Mooney just not having that strength and being big enough a wide receiver to get one more little inch to get into the end zone.
30 seconds left. We're on the 1 yard line, more or less. Maybe 30, it was like 3. But
it wasn't Darnell Mooney's fault. But I'm not just saying.
No, not saying it was Mooney's. We had 4 plays. We had 4 plays from right there. Yeah.
So the Bears, you win 2 of those games. The Bears are a plus 500 team. It's not that the Bears are bad either. Like they're working with the guys they have, and they're playing good against teams. In every press conference that the opposing teams have had, they're like, "Yeah, Justin Fields is a freak." The Bears they're no joke. They're tough. They just don't have that closer yet. So that's what Justin Fields is going to be. Let's go to the offense, though, because the offense is actually an offense now, especially over the last few games, 3 games specifically here. The offense over the last 3 games, all against decent defenses, having what everyone considers a bad offensive line, I would say is probably low middle offensive line. They're better than last year, no doubt about that. They still have put up over 360 total yards offense. Justin Fields broke Michael Vick's single game regular season rushing record for a quarterback last game with 178 yards. Fields also has 100-plus QBR against the last 2 games, both talented defenses in Miami and especially the Dallas Cowboys. You also have playmakers now in Claypool, who we're still learning about, who was an impact on the offense because Miami had to plan around him. You also have Darnell Mooney, he had his first touchdown catch last week. And then Cole Kmet, who's been red hot with 3 touchdowns over the last 2 games. Luke Getsy's finally opening up the playbook. Mooney is just doing what he's got to do and get downfield. And Claypool should have gotten that pass interference call. On top of that, the Bears have the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL without an established offensive line. Fields has 600. Fields is the leading rusher of the Chicago Bears, by the way. 602 rushing yards, 6.6 yards per carry, 4 total rushing touchdowns. Herbert has 586 yards rushing, 6 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns as well. And David Montgomery, 397 yards rushing, 3.7 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. Getsy is opening up the playbook. Tony, the offense is not bad. I know on paper, stat-wise, the offense is bad, but they are not bad. They are really starting to cook up, and Luke Getsy, hats off to him for really flipping the script and making this happen. That's why I think this offense is going to be what's going to carry the Bears to the playoffs if they make it.
I have 1 negative offensive comment and 1 positive offensive comment here.
Okay.
The second one, I might blow your mind with some of those stats. So the first one, though, here's a little tweet from Dan Wiederer. It's just about an offensive player, just to be specific. Before the season, Equinemius St. Brown bet his brother Amon-Ra that the Bears would finish the season with more victories than the Lions. The stakes, $1,000, EQ said, and we're leading right now. He's right. He is absolutely correct. We do have more wins than the Lions. If I was not a Bears fan, I would point out, and to be fair, I am a Bears fan. See the flag behind me. If I wasn't, I would point out that the Bears are only a half game better than the Lions. We've played 1 more game, and we do have a win. The Lions are 2-6. We're 3-6. Again, I'm a Bears fan, so that's miles ahead of the Lions.
I want to put that out there, though. Counter argument is that the Lions started red hot, but their defense is absolutely horrible. Really, really bad. And also, I think that the Lions have gotten away with a few more things. Just putting that out there. But they lost to they just beat the Packers, but the Packers stink now. Yay. But also, they lost to the Patriots in week 5, I believe 49-0. And we beat the Patriots 33-14.
Yes. Yeah,
I'm just putting that out.
You're right. Okay, so now we'll get into the positives. I just thought that was just kind of a funny little Calvin Ridley got suspended for less. So it was just an interesting statement. I'm on a St. Brown hate tour after that last game. But moving on. Justin Fields, here's some stats for you. Has more touchdowns than speaking of the Patriots, than both Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi combined on the season. They have 9, he has 10 passing touchdowns specifically. He has the 11th most rushing yards in the league of any position, not just quarterbacks, obviously. But I think Lamar Jackson's the only quarterback ahead of him. He has more than Christian McCaffrey. And he has 2 game-winning drives this year, more than Patrick Mahomes, I think.
Mahomes
Unless
is a
they
boss.
gave him that Titans one. I don't know if that was a game-winning drive. I think Mahomes has 1 so far. But either way, it is funny that he's leading the team in rushing yards, considering like Matt Forte in the past was the Bears running back, was the leading receiver. Like we always have kind of those weird, the wrong position is leading the wrong category kind of thing. So it's kind of cool.
It's the Bears way.
It's cool having a quarterback doing that, I guess. Something I'm not used to.
Yeah, and like Fields is starting to show. He even said in an interview today that he feels like his old self that he did at Ohio State. So that confidence is coming back. He's starting to understand the speed of the NFL. Obviously, he can dominate games just with his legs. But I mean, like he's just a dangerous overall player. Few things I'll say in regards to the offense is that I think everyone owes Luke Getsy an apology. Just would put that
myself
out there.
included. Hand up. I was a little
I
worried about him.
I was testy after that. I said he's not done yet. I'll give him another week, and then of course he goes out against the Patriots and absolutely rips it up. 3 games into the season, though, we thought it was all over. We thought Luke Getsy experiment was already a disaster. Mark Trestman 2.0. You know, patience truly is a thing, and I just want to put this out there for Bears fans as well: is that with Mitchell Trubisky, we were patient. And Tony, I mean, I could be totally speaking for myself. I'm speaking for at the time I didn't know you obviously, but. I'm speaking for the people that was in my circle during that time when Mitchell Trubisky took over Mike Glennon that night against the Vikings. And we were all patient. We knew Mitch wasn't going to be good out of the gate because of the damage, the emotional damage, and the trust issues that we have with the Bears after that, especially with Matt Nagy, is that we felt we needed him to do something right then and there. We needed like him to come out and be already a 10-year vet that could win a Super Bowl with nothing. And I think that's what made this so hard for Bears fans to understand. And I think now that he's having success, we're kind of like, oh yeah, it's only week 10 of the first year of the regime. And this already feels way better than any time. I know Matt Nagy started out with winning, Coach of the Year in the NFC North, but this feels exactly the same, that energy, but it's being built for a longer picture because we saw Nagy's flaws in the playoffs against the Eagles that year. So I think patience is just key with this offense, and that's where I stand on the subject.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. With Nagy and Mitch, it was like, okay, we're maybe we're trying to go downtown to go see the Sears Tower or Willis Tower, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, are these cornfields? Kind of by the end, it's like, are we in Iowa? What the heck happened here? And when Fields and Eberflus and Getsy come in, it was like, are we still going the same way? I can't really tell where we're going. It looks all pretty similar. And now we're finding, is that the skyline? Is that the skyline? I think I see it. I think it's over the horizon, So I totally agree with you, where it just felt like nothing changed was the issue. And it's because we were hurt. It was not in a vacuum. It was clearly something from our past hurting us in the future still. It's nice to see everyone coming back around finally, and like us admitting our flaws.
But one thing I will say is that the defense has declined, and that's where a lot of people are becoming impatient now, with Alan Williams especially. I mean, I've always been impatient with Alan Williams all season. I thought that his defense has not worked out well. The defense lost their 2 veteran leaders in Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith, arguably their best players on defense, until Eddie Jackson decided to come back on the scene. They were 2 difference makers that the teams had other opposing teams had the game plan for every week, even though Robert Quinn wasn't really doing anything. Roquan Smith was obviously doing a lot, but he still had a game plan against them. We miss them dearly. There's no doubt about it, but it was for the future, and we understand and wish them the best of luck. We do have a very weak run defense, one of the worst in the league right now, but they have shown signs of improvement, which is a good thing. You have a strong young secondary in Brisker, Gordon, and Johnson. Eddie Jackson is under 30, but he is the veteran out of the group at 29. But the problem is Alan Williams, and that's where this team is struggling, and that's why the offense is going to have to carry this team into the playoffs if the Bears have a chance.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm trying to be positive about the defense only by spinning it to, as long as Fields is doing as long as the offense is doing their job and getting better,
more fun.
I'm okay with if it's the defense's fault we're losing games, especially if it's guys. It's like we're probably not bringing back some of these linebackers. We're probably moving on from certain guys. So as long as we beat the Packers, honestly, at this point from here on out, I do want to make the playoffs. I don't want to make it sound. I would, if you could tell me today we can make the playoffs. If you just say yes, but you get a worse pick, yes, please. But in the situation 100%. We're in, 100%. I'd rather the defense be bad,
Yeah, I'd rather rebuild the defense now because we know that. I mean, again, I would like to see the consistency for more than 3 games. If they can carry out for the rest of the year, I'll be less worried in the draft about getting offensive players.
It is, although this feels like forever ago, we also lost Khalil Mack this offseason too. And I know he was not really producing as much near the end. And now he's awesome on the Chargers.
Yeah, but also I don't think the defensive scheme was working for him, and also just like I don't think
it was the right move. We needed the picks.
A franchise player doesn't connect with your head coach. That's a problem. So can they make the playoffs? And I'll go into it in a sec, Tony. I know that yours is much shorter than mine, my reasoning, but let's hear it.
So I like Nick's reasoning, and I am going to back him up. I hope to be on his side, but I do think the defense is going to keep them from winning a lot of games down the stretch here. And I don't think the offense is going to have their best game every single game. It's the NFL. That's just, everyone's young. That's just how it works. The defense is absolutely going to have to make like a third of the stops in the game, not just no stops at the very least. And then we have a chance. Otherwise, I don't think so.
Here's your optimistic fan, though, and I hope everyone is ready for this one. I think they can still make the playoffs. No doubt about it. Reason why. If they can refine their defensive groove that they had when they had the least amount of points from week 1 through 7 in the second half of games. If the Bears can refine that groove and keep this offensive firepower going, even a little notch down if they have that bad game like Tony said, they'll squeeze in, but it's not going to be easy. Here's my predictions over the next couple of weeks or the rest of the season. Lions, W. No doubt about it. Falcons, W. Got to beat Ryan Pace. Jets, W. They came back to earth. In my opinion, I think the Jets came back to earth.
Stinks.
Zach Wilson's horrible, but also they did lose like a couple key players.
Yeah, that too.
But they, GETS, Jets. I think that the hype after the Packers game was at its peak, and then the Jets are going to come back down to earth. So that's 3 wins right there. Bears are back to 500. Week 13 against the ugly guys in green and yellow. That's an absolute dub. They stink. Bye week, win. That's an automatic win. Because someone's going to lose, and Bears could actually move up a spot by literally sitting on their couches. Week 15 against the Eagles. Hear me out. W. Why? Look at who the Eagles have beat. The Houston Texans kept it close with the Eagles.
The Eagles ain't played no one, Paul. The Eagles ain't played no one. I like it.
They have played no one. They have played no one. The Eagles are the worst undefeated team ever. Mm-hmm. And go look at who they've played. They, Tony, I'm pulling it up right now. Eagles schedule. Let's go. Let's just break it down. Again, the Eagles are undefeated. Good for them. I know a lot of Philadelphia Eagles fans like us right now, but I don't think they can deny either. They barely beat the Lions on opening day 38-35. Yes, they smoked the Vikings. Good for you guys. Another good team. But against Washington, 24-8, you guys are so good. Why are you not putting 40 up on them? Jacksonville, they won by 1 score. Arizona, they won by a field goal. Dallas, they barely beat Cooper Rush at home on primetime. Steelers, okay, yeah, they might have smoked them, but the Steelers stink. And then the Houston Texans on primetime again. Why the Philadelphia Phillies are playing in the World Series, barely beat the Houston Texans, and Jalen Hurts only had 243 passing yards. Jalen Hurts also has not had a plus 300 passing yard game since week 3 against the Commanders. Just putting that out there.
The Bears and the Giants, maybe the Bears and the Cowboys are the only 2 tough teams I think the Eagles play left. They might end up undefeated. Commanders, Colts, Packers, Titans, But if Tannehill's out, Malik Willis is terrible. Giants, and then you get the Bears, trap game City. I think you're spitting, Nick. I think you are absolutely spitting facts right now.
I think Eagles a win at home. Robert Quinn comes back, can't do anything against Braxton Jones. Mm-hmm. We steal picks from them. Absolutely win-win. Week 16 against the Bills, unless Josh Allen is out, that's the loss. That's the loss that puts them at 7 losses. That's where it gets freaky. You go to week 17 against Lions, that's dub. Week 18 against Kirk Cousins, absolute win. Bears are 10-7 still. My record still stands. You heard me, Bears. Bears, Bears. I think that they can squeeze into the playoffs, but that's the last thing I'll say. Tony, anything before we log off?
I love it. I like that you threw in the rational. Of course, we can't be the Bills. Let's not be crazy here, guys. I like that. That was a good.
But you never know. Any given Sunday.
That's true. We could beat them 11-6, baby. That gets in the playoffs. I'll tell you that.
And guess what? Everyone's going to be coming here going, this guy was nuts. And then come week 18, Bears are clinching the NFC North. Everyone's like, holy crap. What happened? How did he know? Because guess what? The Bears are back, baby. That's all I got to say. That's the first time anyone's ever seen a team is back at 3-6. So that's all I'll say to that. But that's Tony, anything before? Just a fact.
Yeah, the last thing I have to say is I'm officially verified on Twitter and Nick isn't. So, I mean, just, do the math.
Tony paid $8. He texted me this morning. So can I expense this? I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And then I remembered, oh yeah, you have to pay to be verified. So good for Tony.
Check mark's a check mark, man. I don't know.
Check mark is a check mark. Now he can edit his replies because sometimes his replies are just horrible. He even hates on our own account sometimes. So, that's just how Tony is. Yeah. I'm calling you out. You want to call me out, Tony? Fine.
It's going to be a contrarian sometimes,
Absolutely. But with that, especially because we got some of our old friends that definitely still watch us, and they definitely know who I'm talking about. So with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year in Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, joined alongside my co-host and good friend, Tony Spita. We'll see you guys.